Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Talks, and we're back here for another YouTube video. Welcome back to the channel, and I've been highly requested for a Clash of Kings Season 4, I believe. I've played all 7 games of my regular season, and we're about to go into playoffs, and I figured, let's pump out some more content for the channel, and let's get into my Clash of Kings Week 1 game against II. It's a pretty good player, so there's a lot of pressure going in this matchup. Um, so let's get into it. So the first thing I noticed about this match, or I'll just name the mods. I got Torn, Rotom, Zarude, Infernape, Steelix, Diancie, Illumise, and Mega Garchomp. He's got Scizor, Coco, Gliscor, Necrozma, Skuntank, Garen, Wishiwashi, and Grapploct. So my team's pretty versatile. I've got a lot of options I could work with in a lot of matchups with a team like this. A lot of versatile mons like Torn, Rotom, Zarude, Nape can do a lot of different things every matchup. So it's pretty hard to predict on my opponent's end for what I'm gonna bring. And on his end, he's got like a bunch of pivot, like a pivot based team into a setup comp. So he's got like Sizz who could be set up, Gliscor who could be set up, Necrozma who could be the setup, and Kyurem who could be set up, and then all of them can pivot into each other. So it's kind of like an offensive pivot type comp. So let's grab some popcorn and let's hop into this. It might take a little bit. Um, Hold on. Let me before I do anything. I want to hop back into this Clash of Kings server and grab the fucking replay because we're gonna go through the replay as well. So let me just scroll all the way up and grab this replay. Sorry for the interruption. I probably should have had this beforehand. Anyways, or wait, whoops. Let's get into that. All right. So now that we have that, let's get back into what we were saying. So the first thing I noticed on this dude's team is he has no fire resist. His fire resist is Wishiwashi, which is a pretty shitty mon. It can check Nate, but like let's say I'm banded U-turn, I blow it up. I'm predicting him to predict that and maybe scout me with Gliscor first, so I'm going for more of a Specs Overheat route. What Specs Overheat allows me to do is come in on Nape, get it on Coco Live Hit, get it on Kyurem, and I can safely overheat or Flamethrower. And if he goes Wishy-Washy on a Flamethrower, I can stay in on like a Flip Turn or a Scald, put myself into Blaze range, and blow his entire team up from Blaze range. So that's my first mon that I decide to slap on for this matchup. And then the second thing I realize is how weak his team is to Torn. Because the way my team is set up is I have two ground types. I got a Steelix and a Mega Garchomp, which allow or which it pretty much fucks over Coco. Like it fucks over physical Coco. So like anytime that Torn's in on Coco, it gives me the mind game advantage to where it's hard for him to click an electric move just because I have two ground types in the back, making him want to click either Madness, U-turn, Roost, or Dazzle, something in between that. So I realized with the terrain nerf going from 1.5 to 1.3, that AV Torn walls the fuck out of Coco. So this AV Torn set in particular is able to live two Thunderbolts from any bulky Coco with not much special attack investment. It can live a Life Orb T-Bolt, and it can live a Specs Freeze Dry from Kyurem. It can live any hit from +1 Photon Geyser on Necrozma. It can live a hit from +2 Bullet Punch on Max Sizz, and it can live a hit from +4, I believe, Facade on Gliscor. I don't remember that calc exactly, but all the ones before that are guaranteed. So I decided, a 4 attacks Torn that can hit every mon on his team is pretty versatile and is a pretty flexible pick going into this game. Another thing is that Sludge Bomb is a guaranteed kill on Coco if I get the poison, and even after Rock, Sludge Bomb is a roll on offensive Coco. So that's a huge thing. Hurricane's a guaranteed 2-ko on Necrozma, and it outspeeds the entire team besides Coco, which I plan on getting rid of early on with this Torn bait. And then Icy Wind catches the Gliscor, catches Coco on a switch in. So as long as I keep Torn healthy, non-statist for the entire game, it can blow his entire team up and guarantee me the win early game and late game. So my main game plan was building around this Torn to guarantee I don't let it get weakened and keep it around for the late game. So that's my main like offensive mon pivot, Torn things. So the next thing I noticed was, okay, so if I get rocks up, every single mon on this team gets 2-ko'd by Banded Lariat and Zarude. So what this Zarude spread does is it lives a +1 heat wave from Necrozma always. It lives an X Scissor from +0 Necrozma always. It lives a U-turn from Coco always. It can live a Specs Freeze Dry from Kyurem. It can live just about anything he wants to click, and it 2-ko's everything on his team after Rocks with Lariat. So I decided let's go into that game plan and let's get Rocks up turn 1 with a lead sturdy Custide Berry Steelix. I figured Taunt Gliscor was pretty unlikely just looking at the matchup. Like bringing Taunt into a team that's offensive and pivot like this is a little sketch. And so I figured I'd just lead, get up rocks, and then explode on like a potential defog for Gliscor. And then I can like endure late game in case I need an out. In case like let's say I save my Steelix early game because he like leads Sizz or some shit. Then I can like endure late game, give me an out against like setup Necrozma, give me an out against shit like maybe setup Coco, setup Kirim, stuff like that. So I think this is also a pretty flexible pick going into this matchup. And then, so that's my main game plan. I got the Torn, the lead Steelix, get up rocks, Tuco everything with Larry, blow his team up with Blaze, overheat slash flamethrower. Encores for a sub Kirim. Encore is also for a CM Necrozma and a setup Gliscor. And so those four mons are my main game plan. So after that, I figured I need a mon to fortify the defense and put me on the front foot potentially. And then I need a mon to fortify the offense even more in case things go wrong. Which in the game you'll see things go wrong because of hacks, but we'll get into that in a sec. So anyways, my fifth mon I put on this team is a Jegbun Spadef Diancie as my primary Kirim switch into a Jegbun right out into Infernape or Zarude and put me on the front foot immediately. In case he outplays me early game, it puts me on the back foot. So what it does, I got Heal Bell in case he freezes Nape or Toxic's Torn. I got Baton Pass to give me momentum late game. I got Encore to deny a setup Necrozma, a setup Kirim, and a setup Coco. And then Diamond Storm just to hit the Kirim. And then my last mon I put on the team is just 4 attacks, Garchomp that can outspeed Kirim. I figured it's a good last mon to put on the team in case shit goes wrong. It can back the team up offensively, and it can live a hit from pretty much anything on his team besides Kirim, which we outspeed in Oko with Outrage. I decided not to go Scale Shot just because Scale Shot's a little weak against Kirim, but we'll get into that later. So that's my team going into this. I think I went pretty in depth with the game plan and with why I brought the sets I brought. Yeah, let's get into what I was a little afraid of. So the first thing you might notice with this team is you're gonna be like, okay, Ethan, you're a little weak to DD Kirim. Did you not prep for it? And let me tell you a little something about my team. When you're matching up against Rotom, Steelix, Infernape, and Diancie, DD Kirim doesn't have enough moves to hit my entire team together. That and bringing DD Kirim into a standard like Spadef Steelix, it can't even break through that, so you just get cooked mid-game. So I figured that was like a 99% chance that wasn't going to come. So I figured I'd play off that and put myself on the offensive front. Even if he does bring that, every single mon on my team can hit it offensively. So I wasn't too worried about it. And so that was the main thing that I was a little skeptical about, but I figured I had it in the bag. And then the next thing I was scared of was either Autonomized Meteor Beam Necrozma or Dragon Dance 3 attacks Necrozma. Those are pretty much the main two things I was afraid of. I knew Graplock was going to get benched. I knew Skuntank wasn't going to come. He needs to bring his fire resist, so Wishy-Washy was definitely coming. And maybe like some late game like Rock Polish Gliscor. I don't think it's that good of a bring though. Again, I have Encore on Diancie for that anyways. And I have like Icy Wind Torn to slow it down and Oko it. So I wasn't super worried about that either. So let's go ahead and get into the game and what happens. So let's go ahead and switch sides here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play a little bit of music and really go in depth with my plays. Okay, I'm guessing y'all can hear that. So let's get into it. Let's put music off, dark mode. And let's get into this game. So let's stick with the game plan. We're leading Steelix as he leads Kirim. We're sticking up. We're getting rocks up. This is the game plan. We're getting rocks up turn 1 and we're scouting the Kirim set. I know off that damage it's not specs and it puts me right into Custap, so I Gyro Ball for damage. As I kill the Kirim and I reveal that it is leftovers. Yep, there it is. So I know it's leftovers, so I can go right into Nape and overheat, claim a kill. If he goes Wishy-Washy, I put myself into Blaze purposely, or he either sacks his Gliscor off, not predicting specs, or he sacks the Kirim off. So let's get into what happens this turn. I go ahead and click overheat. And I miss. So this is ass. This is the first turn of Hex that happens this game. So instead of killing Kirim and keeping my Nape at full, we miss, and Kirim gets an Earth Power off, putting us in Blaze. But at what cost, you know? It puts our Nape down at 20, and I needed to stay pretty healthy just so we could bop Wishy-Washy a little bit more consistently throughout the game, and purposely put myself through Blaze, rather than non-purposely putting myself in Blaze. And the Kirim would be dead if that didn't happen. So that's really unfortunate. I click overheat again, coping. because I know it's in Blaze and we just bop something. He goes Wishy-Washy and we're forced to switch, unfortunately, because the game plan was just to stay in on this and put myself into Blaze forcefully and getting even more ship on it. But unfortunately, we can't do that, so we have to go into Torn here on like a flip turn or a Skull or some shit, which fucking sucks. But what is good about this is it does work in my favor, because the way our Torn set up is to live any hit from the Coco, bait it with a Sludge Bomb, and potentially kill with 30% poison. And like I said before, since like he saw that I was sacking the Steelix turn 2, I can go ahead and assume that he assumes I am bulky Garchomp in the back for this Coco. So it creates a mind game between him clicking Thunderbolt or not. So I go ahead and stay in and just Sludge Bomb this and trying to get the 30% kill on it. And this is where the next turn of hacks happens. He gets the para on my Torn with a Thunderbolt, which is fucking horrible. It's game-changing hacks, actually. It makes the game go from a 100% win to a, like, 50-50. And I don't get the poison on the Coco, making it to where I have to switch out. So, from here, I'm like, I have my head in my hands. I'm like, fuck, I'm about to lose my week 1 game. Anyways, I'm coping. I have to pop the E button, too, right off the bat, just to get a safe pivot into fucking Garchomp here. So I pop the E button, I get into Garchomp, and I claim a kill with Aqua Tail. I believe he sacks off his Coco. That has happened. The game's hard to win from here, but it is winnable. He goes Gliscor, and from here, I'm like, alright, he's getting Rocks or he's clicking Earthquake, so I go into Torn. He reveals to be Ice Fang, and he's offensive as fuck, and he doesn't pop his Toxic Orb here, so I'm like, alright, this thing's definitely, like, either, like, SD Resist Berry, or it's, like, Choice Locked or some shit. It's like Scarf, so I go into Diancie to check, and I don't know what it is exactly yet, but from here I'm assuming that it's Scarfed. So I go ahead and go into this. Or no, I'm not assuming that it's Scarfed. From here, I'm assuming that it's SD Resist Berry. So I try to Encore into an SD here, and he switches. He goes Necrozma, so I'm like, well, shit. From here, I believe I just Baton Pass out for free. So I get a free switch right into my Zarude, which can claim a kill, because everything on his team gets 2-co'd after Rocks by Banded Lariat. I kill the Wishy-Washy, though, so there goes his sack to the Infernape. So we're technically in the lead here, but we have a paralyzed Torn, which was supposed to fuck his entire team and blow him up. But unfortunately, he's paralyzed, so we have to find some other fucking win con with an Infernape at 20%. So, in our Diancie at 20%. So here we go. I go Torn here expecting a U-turn, and I do predict that it is Scarf because he goes hard Gliscor on his Zarude. This is definitely some Scarf U-turn bait bullshit, so I go ahead and scout that, and I go into Torn. So from here, I realize this is a perfect opportunity to either beta Roost or beta Sub, whatever he has. He has leftovers, so I'm assuming it's subbing here. So I go ahead and I go right into Diancie to bait in the Flash Cannon or Earth Power to heal my Torn up. So this is a pretty good play by me to just bring the game back in my favor. So I go Diancie here on the sub, and then I go back into Torn to get some regen, and then switch it back out to get it back up to like 90 something to get and then sack Diancie. And you know, from here, well, he'll go, let's wait till he kills the Diancie. So from here, this is where a Skill Shot would have been a good bring on Garchomp, but unfortunately I didn't have it. So I had to just go for the safe Earthquake to break sub, and then get in Zarude to claim a kill with another Banded Lariat, because it kills anything after Rocks and denies Necrozma setup. So I go into Zarude, and I Lariat kill that. So from here I'm like, well shit, it looks like I either have to sack something to get Torn back up to full, so I always live a +2 BP from Sizz, and I have to hope the Necrozma is like some mixed set without X-Scissor, well, I just have to hope the Necrozma is in DD X-Scissor, because since the Torn is parried from that fucking turn 3 hacks or whatever the fuck it was, I can't beat it individually with Torn. So I go ahead and go into Torn here to heal it up, and then I realize it's a roll for +2 BP to kill, so I go ahead and sack Nape to make it not a roll. So I do that, and then I go back into Torn and kill with Heat Wave. Let's see where that happens. So I go ahead and Heat Wave here, and he goes back into his Scarf Gliscor. And from here, I believe I just sack off the Torn and bait on the no X's or DD Necrozma, which is definitely the best play. So yeah, I do that, and then I go into Zarude, and I start clicking P-Whip. Because P-Whip's a guarantee kill on this, and it 2 goes Necrozma always. It's actually a roll to Oko, non-bulky Necrozma. But what I realize is that this is super fat Necrozma, which with DD, so I'm like, hold on, why the fuck is he fat DD whenever that set gets hardballed by bulky Mega Chomp? So I'm like, you know, maybe he's like DD Brick Break to hit both the Steelix and the Zarude, even though it already revealed Earthquake. Like here my hit, I'm just confused. I'm confused here. I'm like, why is he bulky if he doesn't have any recovery? And it reveals that he does have recovery, so he can't actually fit X Scissor for my Zarude. So, just to clarify, what happened on this turn after I killed Gliscor was Power Whip on this on a, you know, a standard DD normal Necrozma. I think Power Whip was like a 50% chance to just kill it from here, so I thought I had the win in the bag. So I do that and it reveals he's like super fat, which is weird. And he goes ahead and rests up. And from here I know he doesn't have X Scissor because he's going to be packing Geysers, so I just spam Whip and win the game. So I think this game goes to show that, you know, no matter what happens, there's always an out to hacks. You know, I missed an overheat turn 2, got paired by T-Bolt turn 3. You know, there's always an out to hacks, and as long as you play to your win con, you can win any game. This is like a pretty good showing of that. But yeah, that was my Clash of Kings Week 1 game. Stay tuned tomorrow maybe for Week 2. We'll see about it. I'll try to be consistent with all 7 of these games. And yeah, y'all have a good one. I'll catch y'all for the next game. Peace.